I'm Louis, and it's my pleasure and the privilege to bring on to you an amazing concept and a beautiful learning opportunity, and I dare say a lifeline to those who have made attempts at the MRCS Part B OSCE exam and have been uh, unsuccessful. And this amazing concept, learning opportunity, and um, lifeline is MRCS strategies. So, MRCS strategies is a preparatory course for the MRCS Part A and Part B. And today, MRCS strategies brings to you an amazing insight into the MRCS Part B OSCE exam. So today I'll be discussing MRCS Part B OSCE and giving you an orientation course of what you should expect in the MRCS Part B OSCE exams. Okay, so the MRCS Part B OSCE exam is an exam that takes place all year round. There's almost um, an exam center every 1 to 2 months all year round in different parts of the world. And unfortunately, you do not have unlimited attempts to take the MRCS Part B OSCE exams. And so what you have is you have 4 attempts at which to pass the exam, and you may get an additional 1 attempt if you have evidence that you have done the 1-year study and your supervisor is happy to sign you off. There is an additional attempt you can get, but this preparatory course MRCS strategy is to make sure that you do not get there to needing an additional attempt or even exhausting your 4 attempts or even retaking the exam again. So it's our intention to help you pass the exam the first time. And if you have taken the exam several times before, it's also our intention to make sure that this attempt is the last attempt, and we will definitely need your cooperation to ensure that that happens. So if you've passed Part A, then you have 7 years to take your part, within which you must take your Part B and pass it. If your time elapses, you obviously cannot resit the exam again. And it will interest you to know that MRCS Strategies also has an MRCS Part A preparatory course, which will be coming to you shortly. So, having said that, if for any reason you sit the MRCS Part B and do not pass, then you cannot sit the MRCS again within 6 weeks of your initial attempt. Okay, and the exam, the MRCS Part B OSCE exam, is a single day exam, and it lasts about 3.5 hours. Of course, this varies from center to center, and you must factor in logistics of each exam center. Okay, it has 18 stations. The MRCS Part B OSCE exam has 18 stations. There's a slight change from October, and that slight change from October is that they have reduced the physical examination station from 4 to 3 stations, and So that means 17 stations. However, technically, it may not be 17 stations because it is the intention of the college to add an extra station or make what we call a pilot station more routine in the examination. So at the end of the day, you may still get 18 stations, 17 of which uh, will account for your scores in the exam. And if you do get the pilot station that makes it 18, this doesn't count in the overall scores, in your overall scores for the exam because it's a pilot or an experimental station. Again, you are a member when you pass the MRCS Part B OSCE exam, which MRCS strategies intend to make sure that that happens uh, by giving you content relevant to the exam and by navigating you through any challenges you may have during the duration of your preparation for the exam. When you do pass the exams, by God's grace, you will be a member of the college in which you have passed your Part B OSCE exams. So the MRCS Part B exams is structured, has two broad content areas called knowledge and skill, and you must be successful in both. So you must pass knowledge and skill to say you have passed the MRCS Part B OSCE exams. So you cannot pass knowledge and fail skill. So a passing knowledge, a failing skill is fail. And a passing skill and a failing knowledge is fail. So you must pass both to be successful in your exams. The knowledge station has a single examiner in that station and comprises of anatomy, surgical pathology, applied surgical sciences, and critical care. And each of these stations, anatomy is two stations. And by the way, another new change that's coming to the anatomy station is that within the questions, within the anatomy station, within the questions in the anatomy station, you will be ask questions that relate to patient safety. So anatomy gets two stations, surgical pathology gets two stations, applied surgical sciences and critical care gets three stations, and that makes it a total of 8 stations. Okay, so So the applied anatomy, the anatomy and surgical pathology will summate to give you 5 stations, actually, pardon me, and you have the applied surgical sciences and critical care giving you 3 stations. That makes it 8 stations. So the skill station has 4 parts: physical examination station and the procedural skill station. These 2 stations have one examiner each, which is you have only one examiner within the station, and this is the surgeon. And the physical examination previously had 4 stations, and now from October 2020, it will be having 3 stations. Of course, the station that they have removed will make way for pilot stations to become more routine in the MRCS Part B OSCE exams. And the procedural skills station has 2 stations in the exams. And then history taking and communication station has 2 examiners. And the 2 examiners will comprise of a surgeon and a lay examiner. Now, the surgeon will assess the correctness of what you are saying, the accuracy of the information you are giving, and the lay examiner will assess your communication skills, how, whether you're speaking in jargons, whether or not, what's your body language like. Um, can the lay examiner understand what you're saying, as it will be like when you speak to a patient. So if the lay examiner feels that you're not carrying him along in this conversation, you're losing him too much to jargons, then and your body language is off, then your communication station, um, you will drop points in your communication station. So that's why you have these 2 examiners in this station when you interact with the patient: history taking station and communication station. The so all 18 stations are divided into circuits. On the exam day, the 18 stations are divided into circuits. These circuits um, are divided by 15 to 20 minutes break, okay? Within which, of course, depending on the center, you may get like lunch, but you have 15 to 20 minutes break between each circuit. And don't worry about how you should go, how your examination will be conducted in terms of the logistics, because that's why you have the examination team there on exam day. Someone will be there to guide you and say, oh, move on to the next station. This is where you're going to, you're on a rest station. So everything is, the time is well managed, and the examination is well managed by the examination team on the exam day. Typically, the movement in the examination is usually clockwise, and each station is a 10-minute station. And so that means that the 10 minutes is divided into 1 minute to read the question outside the bay, and you have 9 minutes inside the bay to answer the question or interact with the patient and the examiner. Okay? Therefore, it's important that you manage your time properly, because this is one of the key issues with the MRCS Part B exam. It is time management. You may have all the information, but how have you managed the time and the information you have? So we will be discussing all of these in MRCS strategies and how you should structure your time in each station. Okay. Then we know that the 9 minutes is further divided into 6 minutes and 3 minutes in the examination and the history taking stations. So in summary, each station is 10 minutes. 1 minute is given for you to read the question outside, prepare yourself, decide what the question is, what you expect to see inside the bay, and prepare yourself mentally for what might be coming for the examination you might have been asked to. So if you see a question surrounding that relates to the knee, so you may think that, oh, this might be a knee examination. And if you see a question relating to the shoulder, or you see a question relating to the neurological system, you immediately know that, okay, this might be a neurological exam, a knee exam, a shoulder exam. And so therefore, outside the station, you are going through quickly in your mind the steps that you want to follow to finish your examination. Okay. And so for the applied surgical science, the anatomy and the surgical pathology, there's no interaction there with a patient um, per se. So you have the entire 9 minutes and communication station. So you have the entire 9 minutes to yourself. Okay. And depending on the center where you are, at 6 minutes, you might hear a bell. So if you are in a station that, if you're in an anatomy station, a communication station, a surgical pathology station, and then you hear a bell go off at the 6 minute point, it therefore gives you a rough idea of how long you have to complete your examination. And so if you find out that you are trailing behind, um, you may want to pick up the pace, or you may want to ask the examiner to move on to another question if you feel you don't know the answer. And that's something important you need to take note of. So if you're in a station and you find out that you don't know the answer, instead of gazing at the ceiling, ask the examiner to kindly move on, that you like to come back to that question, and they'll move on to that question, as long as the next question is not dependent on the answer of the previous question. If that's the case, then you lose the mark for the previous question. Okay. So so again, in the examination and history taking station, you have 6 minutes to interact with the patient or the simulator or actor, and 3 minutes to interact with the examiner. Okay. And I tell you, inside those stations, 9 minutes is a really short time. Okay. All right. So I did say that there are special stations, and these special stations are preparatory stations, rest stations, and pilot stations. The preparatory stations are stations that you get just before communication skill, okay, which could either be receiving information or giving information. So in your communication skill station, you get a preparatory station. So 10 minutes for you before you move on to the communication station proper. So that preparation station, the preparation bay, has patient notes, which you will go through. So when you go through the patient's notes, you make your notes, you're allowed to take the notes you make into the communication station proper. And then you make relevant notes that of things that you feel are necessary to help you communicate effectively with the patient, actor, simulator, or the surgeon. Okay, or the patients rather. So the rest station is so in other words, if you are starting the exam with a communication station, you're therefore going to start 10 minutes before other candidates start. Okay, and that 10 minutes is the preparatory station before you move into the communication station. Okay, now you have rest stations, and these rest stations are for you to mentally prepare either before a station or after a station for the rest of the exams. The number of rest stations differs. So when you get to a rest station, how you use your rest station is important. So for stations you have done and you have moved away from, the temptation is always there to think of what extra you could have done in those stations. Avoid the temptation. Okay? Avoid the temptation because it's not helpful. It means that, remember, I said that time does fly by once the exam starts. And so it is important for you to prepare for the remaining stations. So if you feel that you've been doing a good job coming down the line, then mentally prepare yourself and say, oh, I'm almost there. Keep it together. Keep it together, okay? And if you haven't done well in a station, no point crying over spilled milk in your rest station. So you prepare yourself and say, okay, I'm moving to the next station and I'm going to hit it hard. Okay, so and that's the mentality you should take into the exam, not the mentality so that you don't get yourself flustered by thinking about, oh, I should have done this, oh, I forgot to ask this, oh, I forgot to do this. And the things that you think that you forgot to do or you didn't do may not contribute so much to your overall score, but you have erroneously um, convinced yourself to believe that you have done poorly there. And so imagine that that's going to cascade down the entire examination for you. And so you don't want that. So your rest station is to mentally prepare you moving forward. So the number of rest stations, of course, will differ from center to center. And occasionally they put pilot stations in the exam, and these pilot stations routinely these pilot stations do not contribute to your overall score at the end of the day. So I mean, if you get all the questions on the pilot station, it doesn't contribute to your overall score, and if you fail it, it doesn't contribute to your overall score. So sometimes it's difficult to know which station is a pilot station and which station is not, but sometimes you may be able to make an inference from the examiner's body language, etc., But I'd advise I'd advise you strongly not to assume that a station is a pilot station and take that station down as though it was a real station. Okay, because nobody knows what the pilot station will be, and the station you might be thinking, oh, this is a pilot station. Newsflash, might not be a pilot station. So in fact, go into the exam thinking all stations are relevant for you to pass the exam. And with that mentality, you would not short change yourself or shoot yourself in the foot by thinking, oh, this station might be a pilot station, so you may not count. And then at the end of the day, it's not a pilot station. So, how is the exam scored? So each station uh, gets a maximum of 20 marks. Okay, so each station scores a maximum of 20 marks. So therefore, the total score for knowledge, having 8 stations, will be 160 marks. And the total score for the communication station, or rather for the skill station, will be 200 marks. Of course, maybe smaller than that if uh, when the stations are dropped from 18 stations to 17 stations. But overall, for now, the skill station scores a total of 200 marks. Now, to pass the exam, I recommend that you must pass the knowledge with greater than 112 marks, and you must pass the skill with greater than 130 marks. Remember, you need to pass both the knowledge and the skill station to be considered successful in the MRCS Part B OSCE exam. The pass mark will vary from center to center, and this is based on what the overall performance of the candidate is, what the overall exam difficulty level was, and the examiners who have conducted the exam to a lesser extent. To prepare for the MRCS OSCE exam, um, the following tips will help you to prepare adequately. And the first tip is to understand the structure of the exam. And this is what we're doing here today, to give you an overview of the MRCS Part B OSCE exam and what to expect. And I get so many people asking, what's the optimal time for preparation? How long should I prepare? Well, no matter what you're doing, whether you're working or busy, the optimal time, the average time to prepare for the MRCS Part B OSCE is 3 months. Okay, it's 3 months, 3 to 4 months. And so during this duration of time, I'd advise you strongly to register with and subscribe to the MRCS Strategies course, because this course will help you not only to uh, work hard, but also to work smart. And then practice your skills uh, stations with your friends, your colleagues. You can practice examination with your siblings, your spouses, with patients, get conversant with it, learn communication, have good body language, have someone watch you talk to someone else and tell you, oh, um, this is where you're getting it wrong, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're not doing right. Um, Talk to yourself in the mirror, record yourself when you do these communication stations and play them back. You'd be amazed at the things you say, really. So Of course, we will be organizing mock examinations from time to time, and this will be a constant feature on MRCS strategies because, like I said at the beginning of this recording, that it is very important for you to um, be a part of this. It is very important for you to prepare in a smart way for your exams. It's important for you to study high yield topics, and this is what we'll do for you in the mock examinations. There will be mock examinations for part A, yes, and there will be mock examinations for part B. It's going to be something that you will find very useful, not only for the preparation for your MRCS Part B or Part A exams, but also you will be able to extrapolate some of the skills you learn from MRCS strategies and its preparatory course. You'll be able to extrapolate these skills to real life patients, be able to interact better, and you find out that at the um, towards the end of your preparation with us, you find out that you've become more confident in your communication, more confident with your knowledge of anatomy, surgical pathology, critical care, and clinical skill set. And so you get to know that MRCS strategies will not only prepare you for the MRCS exam, but it'll prepare you to be a good doctor, which I find is more important than anything else, more important than um, passing the exams. You will pass the exams, of course, if you work with us, and um, if you work hard. No reason why you shouldn't pass the exams, really, because these exams are structured to be passed by people who understand the exams. When you understand the exams and when you have worked hard, you should pass the exams. If when you understand what's expected of you, you should pass the exams. So this is what we intend to help you do, to understand what's going on, understand the content of the exam, what's expected of you, understand that beyond these exams, which we will do our very best to help you pass, um, we also want to build a community of dedicated doctors who have knowledge, who are willing to learn, and who um, are willing to improve their practice. And so it's in summary, it's a holistic approach to surgical training, and to preparation for with regards preparation for the MRCS Part B OSCE exam, and helping you to not just be robotic in your approach to patients. I mean, just because you want to pass the exam, but help you to be patient-centered, to give patient-centered care, and approach your communication with patients, with friends, with people in a different way. So it's a whole package, and I advise you to be a part of it. Um, Again, another advice I would give is that you ensure that you are well rested, before your exam day, and make sure you take at least 7 to 10 days off work if you are working, um, a week before your exams. Okay, take those days off, prepare properly, um, gather your thoughts together, and sleep early the night before your exams so that you don't begin to forget things that you naturally would remember if you were not under pressure or if you were not tired. And then, above all, pray for favor and grace to and strength, because at the end of the day, um, it's important to be at peace in your mind. Okay, so thank you very much, and bye for now.